is one thing that you feel like people get wrong about you or you're misunderstood? Whether anybody.
I would say that they could kind of just walk all over me or take advantage of me in a way. But when it comes down to it, you'll see that you cannot.
All right. So, hello, everybody. Welcome to the first official season of Mixed Reality Podcast. It's the first episode of the first season. I thought I'd bring on Kate Germinal, my wife, who is also the co-host of the Mixed Reality Podcast. We're going to be doing different sort of segments between us two and interviewing different professionals. But it's going to be in between the two of us. I just thought it'd be a great idea, right, to get us to interview one another before we launch. Now, there's no saying when she'll do my interview, but we at least thought we'd start it off just so we can kind of show out the personality, who we are. That way we can have a good, foundation with the viewers for Mixed Reality. So we can start off this podcast very strong and then just kind of build on from there. So with all that being said, I'd like to welcome Kate Germinal to Mixed Realities.
Yeah, thank you. I'm actually crazy that this is actually now happening because we've been talking about it for a while now. And now that we're actually doing it, I'm excited.
It's been 2 years almost. Really, no. 2 years and some. We've been trying to get this podcast launched. Obviously, it started from business. I think the whole point of doing this was to actually, from the jump, was to be able to sit down and interview different professionals in different industries. But the real truth behind this is we want to interview any entrepreneur, any business, no matter what stage or what point they are in their careers. We'd like to interview them so they can give their testimony, show what they're about, and hopefully connect them with their consumer bases. So we're going to kind of just jump right into this. I'm going to be interviewing the missus here, and I really want to show the world who she is, what her personality is like, because a lot of times, I took on the role of CEO at the Germinal Group, which is who sponsors this entire podcast and also our lifestyle. We're full entrepreneurs. That's all we do. We run business. And I wanted her to get, time so she can show her personality because she brings a lot to the table just as much as I do. So I'd like to help her broadcast that to her.
Which you'll notice, Julian, he's more of outgoing and good at, opening up and explaining things. And I'm more quiet. Eventually, I'll come around and, be more outspoken and outgoing. But Julian's the more of the talker in our relationship.
Yeah, but today we're going to not be doing that. We're going to be switching roles. So the point of interviewing somebody is to ask them questions and then let them explain themselves. So let's go ahead and kind of jump right into this and go ahead and let that personality shine through, baby. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You ready? So, okay. Can you explain to us as a viewer who you are? And it doesn't have to be long-winded. Just a short phrase of, I'm Kate Germinal and this is who I am.
That's a good question. I feel like when people ask that, it's kind of hard because you kind of overthink it. Mm-hmm. But for me, I would say first off, a child of God. I'm a wonderful wife, wonderful mother of 3 boys, and a great business owner. I would say that is who I am in my season right now.
I would agree. I would say for sure, a child of God. We built off our entire family and foundation around our faith, and everything else pretty much comes second to that. And obviously, second to that would be family. If you had asked me the question, it would be pretty much identical, except not a mother, I'm a father. And then the next one would be business. Yep. But okay, all right. So, what was your reason for wanting to get into business or real estate specifically?
So I first started in real estate in 2017, not in the sales, not as a realtor. I started as a title processor, and that was, the 9-to-5 job which I didn't mind going to because, you have a steady paycheck, you have insurance, and you just kind of know what to expect throughout the day. But then after we had Emerson, our first, I had mom guilt of leaving him and dropping him off to daycare and going into office 9 to 5 or sometimes longer. And that wasn't what I wanted. So, and then Julian, I was always scared of leaving a paycheck and insurance. But Julian's like, I see something more. So that's when I stepped into sales and became a real estate agent. And that was more for having freedom because, the what do they call it? The ceiling is only so high when you're in, kind of like a 9 to 5 job. But when have your own business, the sky's the limit. So, but what really drove me was being a mom. I didn't want to, not be able to go to every event with kids without that.
Yeah, and I would second to that. Straight out of high school, I mean, I've always been a hustler type of person, even in middle school, selling things, and the entrepreneurial spirit sits strongly within me. But when I first graduated, being homeless, I was scared to go out into the adult world. I've seen what being a minor and how the world treated me as a homeless individual, all the people that were out to take advantage of me. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to go into that space as an adult because I can only imagine being an adult and being homeless. You get no empathy from anybody. They don't even care about the situation. It's just, especially being a man, look, bro, you fell, get up on your own. And that's just kind of how it was. So I'm like, okay, the commission-based anything, scared, which is kind of what trapped me in the insurance industry for 10 years. Yep. But nonetheless, when I was looking at you, I'm like, you know what? The world is I was looking at the world from a way negative, viewpoint. And I worked many different jobs, and I've never really had somebody that I've worked for that was compassionate, really compassionate, and kind of the people that worked for them. It was just kind of more transactional. And I'm like, Kate, I could never see her doing that. I see more empathetic. She would be a good boss because she would be nice to her employees, treat them like they're people. So I just kind of seen those qualities. I'm more of a servant leader, and I think you are too. We want to serve who we're working with. And I just seen that so strongly. I'm like, Kate, I know we're destined, both of us, we're destined to have more and be more than what we are now. And now, just because we left a W-2 job, can you explain to us how hard that is? Because when people say that, you think that, they're just going to leave a job and then go start a business. Bro, you're going backwards, right? Can you explain to the viewers out there to how the difference between working W-2 job and then actually operating your own business?
So it's extremely hard, but it's kind of the push you need to not be able to rely on, because you're not going to go in full head and do all that you need if this is your primary source, if this isn't your primary source of income. But it's extremely hard. I mean, with your family, it puts a burden as a couple and being a mom and, looking at your kids and you're like, I don't have any closings coming up, versus if you have a W-2 job, you're like, oh, I'll just have, leave, I have sick pay, stuff like that. So.
And I think how many times, right? When you're working a 9 to 5 job, it's specifically you're at 9 to 5. Sometimes depending on the job, you might have to stay later. And if you're salaried, you don't get paid anything extra for the extra work that you're doing. How many times, right? And how much currently are we working every day nonstop, and we're not getting any fruits for the labor? So you're not getting paid per hour that you're working. You're working for free, right? Touch on that a little bit.
I wouldn't say for free, but it is you just plant these seeds and then eventually it will turn around and you'll see, your flower bloom from actually what you've been watering. So touching base with clients, following up, adding value. You don't see that at first, but when time comes for them to need a real estate agent, they know who to contact. But yeah, just not being able to see, steady income coming in, and you're like, oh, I've, answered a call at 8:00 p.m. or you have early calls at 6 a.m. and you're just working and working, but you don't see it, but eventually it will come around.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. So we're kind of going to jump in between these questions here. So what is one piece of advice you would give somebody that was in your situation before you launched your own business? I mean, we pretty much started everything right out of high school. Got together, got married, children, started getting in the picture early. I mean, we're still fairly young. What would you say to a young individual? Let's say same situation coming out of high school. What advice would you give them that has a destiny like this for them?
I would say community is very important. So having, surround yourself with people that have the same mindset as you and interview and connect with the people that are where you want to be. Even if they're older, I mean, they are more wiser. So just connecting with people and, just picking their ear a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I think to top that off, right? I think you should immediately, even while you're in high school, search for a community that's going to challenge you, right? Not just like tell you what you want to hear and like basically call it ear candy. Just,
Yeah.
Telling you what you want to hear. You need to be challenged. As an entrepreneur, you will be challenged every single day. You're out there on your own. You're doing it by yourself. You need to make it happen or you're starving.
And I would say for me, I was very like timid a lot and scared of like what people would think, which I still kind of am sometimes. But, life goes on. So you might as well just do it. And, even if you're scared, just do it. That's what I would say.
I agree. But I definitely can't relate to the timidness. I'm gonna
Yeah.
definitely always speak my mind. I'm more of and I think that's where we balance out each other kind of well. Even though sometimes it does piss me off that you are a little bit so reserved at time, and I'm not. Like if I'm doing something, it's more like I'm at the front line and I'm speaking my mind. Like I'm not sitting here waiting for anything. I'm gonna go and do it and get it done. And you're more.
Well, that's usually who marries each other.
Yeah, I know.
It's
like
the
right?
opposite. You wake up early. I don't sleep in, but I rather have a little extra time.
Yeah, by early, like I'm
You go to bed late.
5 a.m. I wake up at 5 a.m. You're more at like 7, 6:30.
Yeah.
Getting the kids ready. You don't have
So
the luxury
that's
to
just
be
funny.
sleeping in.
Yeah.
Well, to that being said, how has it been from your perspective that being married and also being in business? How has that affected your relationship, marriage, motherhood, et cetera, et cetera?
I would say because we're in the same field, so we kind of know what to expect from each other day in and day out, and we kind of know what we went through for that day. So I would say working together, it's kind of nice, but also not nice because sometimes you'll be like, oh, you should have said this instead of that. Or like if we're on calls, we're in the same office, it's kind of best that we are kind of separate ourselves in a way for business. But it's also nice to know like what your schedule is. So, we can work around the kids as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. So that's nice. But I want you to, what are the negatives like? Because if we're talking to somebody that is like following in our footsteps, basically to do their own thing, give them some of the negative things, or let me not say negative. Let me say
the
learning
tough
experiences.
things.
There are tougher things. What are some of the tougher things you can expect to go through? Because one thing that I find really crazy, like nobody really tells you how. Like the day-to-day life of raising children, not even business, just raising children and having a family, how much that challenge you to grow and the work that it takes to actually like at least try to do it the right way. Because there's certain things I believe that, we owe to our children. Like what are some of the tougher things that you've experienced? And then also how, like some things you can do to get over those humps that you face.
I would say we butt heads a lot because some things we don't agree on as far as like business goes. So like even if it's, going this approach with this house or this approach with this buyer. So kind of coming to an agreement with that and like shutting off, husband and wife, more of like business partners where something we can come into agreements on. So I'd say that is a challenge. And then also financially, we're in the same field. So we're kind of like, oh, maybe, he's doing more, I'm doing more, he's not doing enough, that kind of thing. But I would say being more open about, the clients you're working with, because you may not see everything that I have and I don't see everything that you have. So just being more open about like what your day actually looks like with your spouse.
I agree. Okay, so give me another point. Another point, like another tough hurdle. We don't want to give one, just one. We want to at least give them two things to
See,
think about. Give them something else.
um, I don't really have another one. Do you? I mean, you seem like you have something in mind.
I mean,
there's a lot of things, but I can't like put a pinpoint on.
so I mean, I would say, like again, this is where the community comes into part, right? There are things you can't see, and this is I'm talking about just marriage. This isn't even business, like being married or being in a relationship. There are things that you can't see, like while you're in the field, if that makes sense. That having the right community of people, like you have to be accountable to somebody, regardless if you own your own business. You can only pour so much, and this is something that we recently come to learn. Like we know it, but I've really like had the opportunity to sit and digest that. Like, can't pour into others what you don't have. If your cup's not being poured in, you can't continuously be pouring into other people, and that specifically goes towards your family. Like, you want to be a great father, a great mother. You're pouring into your family all the time because I mean, ultimately, like being in a marriage is a partnership. Like you're partnered, not like in a business sense, but we're a team. We're all heading towards one goal together, and we have to keep. We're pieces of of like the same machine, but we need to do our jobs for everything to go as it should. And I think you should have somebody that you can confine in and actually receive mentorship from. And really, I think it should be no strings attached. It shouldn't really be, in my opinion, something that you're paying for. It should be like being a part of a community that just ultimately wants to see you succeed in life and or business. I think you need both aspects. I think that's where we didn't know. So I didn't know any of this. I mean, obviously I don't come from a stable household. So a lot of this, I mean, we're both kind of having to figure out as we go. But I would definitely tell somebody like a younger couple looking to go in business together, no matter what industry that it's in, like
Have a third
have
party
a third,
or like a
3 to 4, depending on like have somebody that you can talk to about marriage or issues that you're having through in your relationship and how to overcome those hurdles. And then same thing for business, especially if you like have employees. If you're pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring into your employees, somebody has to be pouring and pouring and pouring into you because ultimately you can't teach somebody something you don't know. You know what I mean? So I think that's what I would definitely tell somebody like a couple that's like looking to go in the same direction as us.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That
now
was
we're gonna
good.
get into the nitty gritty of things, right? So how has motherhood? I mean, we're young. How has motherhood changed you from the point of time before you had children to where you're at now? And what does that mean to you? What does motherhood?
I would say it kind of opened my eyes more, and I'm kind of, more out there. And it's funny because I'm more quiet and conservative, but when it comes to being a mother, like Mama Bear comes out on certain things. So that's funny. But just being a nurturer to them, and I find myself kind of doing anything to make them happy. That makes me happy. But also knowing that, it's not always kids first in a way.
So would you say like the definition of motherhood to you? I mean, I feel like it'll be different for a lot of moms, but what would that be for you? Like the definition of being a mother?
I would say be nurturing to them, their biggest cheerleader, pushing them. Because, just like anybody else, you have a spouse that's pushing you. You can need to be there to help push your kids. Even if they're scared at times, just letting them know, explaining them, not, pushing them off the ledge, but, helping them through their challenges.
I mean, I would agree as far as like just being able to witness how you are. That's one of the things that I love about you the most is like you're very nurturing. And it's great to see. Like I said, I mean, I didn't really have that, so it's nice for my children to even see what it looks like, almost kind of living through them a bit. Just like, okay, this is nice to see children being nurtured by a woman. Okay, so give us one thing that you've done in business, but you would never do it again.
I would say kind of like when you first start in business, you kind of take all clients on. But what I found is like the clients that are giving you the hardest time, wanting you to do certain things that you're not comfortable with, or, discounts kind of thing, they always end up not working out. Even if you're, doing more than you naturally would, I find that, that is what I want to, that's what I decided not to do. So that's what I did wrong in the beginning. So we don't take just any client now.
Yeah. And fortunately for us, I mean, it was a tough lesson because, I mean, when you're first starting a business, right, you want to take on everybody. I'm like, yeah, I can help everybody. Now, and also just having a helping nature. You want to help everybody and put a smile on everybody's face.
You can't help everybody. Yeah.
You can't help everybody, and not everybody's going to be worth your time, because ultimately, even if you do get the deal closed, if it costs you your sanity or peace, you're better off walking away from that and go find a client that you can mesh with better. And technically, right, I think you're doing them a disservice, because they could also be working with somebody that is more suited for them than trying to force out a relationship just because you want to help or you want to get the closing or whatever your situation may be. As an entrepreneur, a lot of times we find ourselves through financial hardship, specifically when we're growing. We're in a scaling phase because you're making the money, but you're reinvesting all the money right back into the business. So you really don't have much. So you want to take on everybody so you can make the most amount of money that you can. I would say your instincts is going to tell you to do that, but to save yourself a lot of heartache, pain, work with the clients you're best suited to work with. Don't try to force anything, right? And you would agree with that?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so what is one thing that you feel like people get wrong about you or you're misunderstood? Whether anybody.
I would say that they could kind of just walk all over me or take advantage of me in a way, but when it comes down to it, you'll see that you cannot.
Oh yeah, specifically because you definitely got somebody that's not going to allow that to happen through whatever means necessary. But I think,
I think people think they can intimidate me or get to me, which I would used to break down and cry if somebody told me no, or not just in business, but in anywhere in life, I guess. But now it's because bullies, they kind of want you to react, but you won't see that from me.
See, and this is what I like about you, and this is where I feel like me and you balance the most, right? To me, a bully, normally I'm gonna punch them in their mouth. And specifically being a man of faith, that is not the right way.
Yeah.
That's not the right way you go about doing things. You don't go punching people, but I mean, my lifestyle and my life before really giving my life to Christ was, hey, you hit the bully so that the bully leaves you alone, because they never expect you to hit them right back in their mouth. Once you typically do that, they leave you alone.
Yeah, but now that gives them a purpose. Like, oh yeah, he did hit me or something.
Yeah, and then there's the consequences that still come from that as well. I like the way that you approach things. I've seen many things that you've done. I'm like, that is a very mature way to do things. And it makes me now have to match that maturity, where sometimes people are looking to get a certain reaction out of you. And I've seen this lifetime from you where somebody do something to you, and then of course it sparks me up, or just to anyone.
Well, I mean, it's hard because your spouse, you see your spouse, even if it's not hurting them, it's just
it feels like that. I'm letting my wife be taken advantage of. But then I'm able to sit back and admire that. Look at how you handled that situation. Like, dang, that's how it should be handled. This is something that tells me that in my spirit. You don't have to go rah-rah and want to break things all the time. It should be handled with care. Certain things should be handled with care. You shouldn't give people influence over your energy. Ultimately, somebody calls you to feel a certain way, you let somebody make you rage out, you're being controlled by whoever that person is.
Right.
And that's just not a thing children should be doing.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to teach our kids emotional control.
Yeah.
Again, you can't take people places you're not at or have never been.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I really appreciate about you. Okay, so all right, so as an entrepreneur, right? Mm-hmm. There's a master of balancing things, or you're trying to master balancing things. How do you successfully, or attempt, I mean, because we're still young, right? We're learning and doing things. How do you balance being a wife, mother, 3 boys that are always literally on the move nonstop, right? 3 boys under 5, and a thriving businesswoman that's looking to scale a business. We're on scale mode, looking to grow and scale. How do you balance that? Because it's a lot.
Yeah,
People
it
don't
is.
understand that.
Yeah. So you just don't sit down. I'm just kidding.
Sure.
No. So like you said earlier, you like pouring into yourself. So I find myself pouring into me, which is like, reading, getting knowledge, and then us talking, even going to the gym. I just find my sanity through that. And then that's where I'm able to, pour into Julian, the kids, working, helping my clients. So, I mean, I'm still trying to balance things. Definitely don't have it all handled, but I would say having a good partner and having a good community to be by will help you get the sanity and balance that you need. Because if Julian sees that I'm, doing too much in business or, like overwhelmed with the kids, he can easily jump in and step in and, help me where I need to be helped. So that's kind of my balance is you.
You know what? I think though, the gym.
Oh yeah,
like,
for
once
sure.
You started, wait, hold on. I mean,
Well,
I have to actually shout out.
I was gonna say, let's do a
No,
shout.
I have to shout him out, man. Listen, if you are in Manatee County and you're looking for a place to work out, because I mean, we both are like we were athletes in high school, and we're used to that team environment, and you learn so much just from being in a team environment and like growing up. So much values to be taken from sports. But once you're out of that, I think you have to find something that can replicate the same thing because you're missing it. It provided so much value, but you're missing it. But Prosper Bradenton, it's a gym in Bradenton. Man, that gym is like nothing else. It's really the people that are running the gym. It's as close as I've ever been back to being on a football team when we're going to these workouts. And I mean, initially, I didn't even want to go. Right? This is something that you started that really changed your life. And you kind of talked to me about it before. And I'm like, I don't want to go do a bunch of like girl workouts.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm used to lifting.
Oh yeah, they're hardcore.
I'm used to lifting weights. I'm not a conditioner, but Prosper and Bradenton, outside of the amazing workouts that they do, they also, the atmosphere is what got me.
It's more of like a great community and support, and then you get a workout in.
And you're gonna hear us talk about community over and over and over again. These were some of the things that we prayed for a long time. Like, we're in a wrong space in the wrong community for a long time, and we're just like, man, things aren't moving in the correct direction. And then you start getting around people like, it's the accountability. This gym will hold you accountable for your own goals. They will push you towards your own goal. The owner, Ray, and the coaches, Matt, Trish. I know Luke just started there not too long ago. They have it to where like it's just the environment is like nothing else, man. If you're looking for a gym in Bradenton, Florida, really in Manatee County, if you're in Sarasota, I would still tell you
it's worth the drive.
Hey, give them at least 3 attempts, 3 tries, some see and bond with the community. And most people now, one gym is not going to be for every single person, but from what I've seen,
there's all ages, and they're killing it.
Very diverse.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. I love being in a diverse environment. There's so much value to gain from other people and of age, race, nationalities. There's just so much to gain. And listen, that gym is like nothing else. I had to shout them out real quick. No, they're not sponsoring us. Hey, but go ahead and you can though if you want, Ray. I'm just kidding. But it's just a great environment, man. I just love it. And you won't honestly
1 month
find
free?
a gym like it. Listen, I've been to plenty of gyms. I've never really stopped working out since leaving high school. I've never been in one like that. I've been to plenty of gyms, all the bigger ones, and there's nothing that I've been a part of that's been like this one. So big shout out to Prosper Bradenton in Bradenton, Florida. If you're looking for a community that's going to push you to get at your peak fitness, or you're struggling, you have certain goals that you can't attain on your own, that's where you need to be. Shout out Prosper Bradenton, shout out Ray, shout out Matt, and shout out Trish, and shout out Luke. All right. So that being said, I think that was one of the bigger changes for you. It's like that's like I feel like really turned you around.
It's like your mental, and you just get. I don't even know, but yeah, I've seen a difference.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so I would also kind of just define our family as resilient. I mean, we face many problems. Before we even got together, while we're together and currently. I mean, that's to me, that's what being an entrepreneur is, just problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think has allowed just this family as a whole to be so resilient and like problems are happening and where some quit, seeing people like commit suicide, dealing with the very same things that we've dealt with? What has made us so resilient as a family? But you, of course, starting with you foremost, where does the resiliency come from?
I would say for sure faith and being consistent with your faith. So, not only turning to him when things are rough, but even when praise him for when things are going good. So I would say that is my main component. And then consistency in anything you're doing. So you're not going to see things right away, but eventually, just like we were saying, working out, you're going to see it eventually turn good. So I would say, and then when things are going bad, just staying consistent with him, turning to one another. That really is it.
I would 100% agree. And even whenever somebody's asking for like, what can I pray for you? What I say, resiliency.
Yeah.
We're outputting so much energy. And I'm just a high energy individual to begin with.
If you haven't noticed.
But you're outputting so much. Eventually, if somebody's not pouring in your cup, start running out. You get in a place where like you're outputting more than you can like actually provide. And then it starts taking a toll on you. And that's where I think mentorship or community or relationship with a specific individual that's been where you're trying to get to is going to be crucial for your development and also just to help you sustain the level that you're at and actually achieve and move past, because they've been there where you're at and they've passed it. So I think that's where it's going to be the biggest thing. And I think we all should strive to find somebody like that. I know it's easier said than done, but it should be something being done with intention, like intentionality. It should intentionally be.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So one last thing, right? So we have a lot of goals and aspiration, not only as a company, but as a family. Like we want to do a lot of different things to make sure we leave generational wealth. To me, that's the whole reason of man being around. Like if you don't do something that affects the next generation, I think you miss the ball. And that's just my opinion. And we all have different goals and stuff, but that's just my opinion. That's how my philosophy. What can you tell people about having a vision? Like when you're a couple, right? You have a vision. How should that vision be like communicated throughout the relationship to make sure we're all not only yoked and like going towards the same thing and wanting the same thing, and then actually like getting in sync? To tough question.
Yeah, thanks for that one. Great banger to end with. I would say to make sure that your vision is aligned, you have a clear vision together, and you may have personal visions, but to disclose that to your spouse, because we don't know. He doesn't know what's going on in my head. I don't know what's going on in his head. So just having a clear vision together, and either it's personal, business, as a mother, as a dad. So I would say just going over that together. And what was the other?
I mean, that was pretty much the question. Was like, so say that's pretty much communication, like communicating that like at the very beginning, time and effort's not wasted on both parties' end.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it was really nice to get to sit down with you. It's funny because we're married.
Yeah.
But it was nice to get to sit down and ask you these questions, and hopefully people that are in the same situation as us, and as a young lady looking to build herself and build a business, and she has a partner. Hopefully she's able to get something out of this interview. Because again, regardless of you could have just been started like into business like 3 months ago, but you still have 3 months of experience that somebody else doesn't have. So you can always help somebody just from your testimony. Right. And again, that's something we really dove into from the faith walk aspect of everything. And I would also say, just as a heads up, you guys should definitely, whatever it is that you believe in, dial in on that. Lock in with that. Seek a relationship, I want to say, with Jesus, as Christian.
And I would say, because, you grew up in church your whole life. I did pretty much too, but Not until you recently, like maybe a year or so, I feel like we really got dedicated in a church, in a community, because we actually found a great community for us and our kids. And after that, and you just see things fall into place, and it was all because of him.
Yeah, magnificent. Tripping up on great results.
Yeah.
I think for sure, again, just being plugged in the right community. But then, I mean, a lot of us is growing up in church, but just like anything else, relationship with your spouse, relationship with friends, right? We get out of high school and we're not around these same people anymore. You have to intentionally commit to working on that relationship, staying in contact. It's the same thing with your faith. You have to build the
But
relationship.
be intentional, not just, message somebody or reach out just to, make sure they don't forget about you, but be intentional about anything and everything.
And that goes along the same lines of working when you're working with clients, staying consistently in contact with them. Care. You have to care.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. So you have to put in the work. It was not until, I grew up in very strict religious churches as a child, but then I really came to realize, like, man, my relationship with God, my relationship with Jesus is just not where it should be. And that's why things are never connecting. At least that's how it was for us. So we would tell anybody, you work on that first. And then your mission in life will start unfolding itself. And you follow and listen to Jesus, man. Like, the plan for your life is great. It's something that you can't even begin to imagine. So you have to connect to the source, plug yourself, charge yourself in order to then accomplish the goals and things that you've set out for yourself and your purpose.
And you'll see it.
Yeah. All right. So let's finish this out, right? I thought
that was the last question.
That was the last question.
Okay.
But now we're going to ask you where to find the Germinal Group. Where are we at? Can you throw us some shout outs? We're sponsoring everything for ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. So pretty much anywhere. You can find us on Google. We have some awesome reviews on there. Reviews don't lie. So for sure, Google, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok.
We're on pretty much all the social.
Yeah, all social media.
So again, guys, look, we do this. One, we do enjoy conversations with people, and there's always something to learn from sitting down and having a good conversation. But we ask for you guys to like, follow, and subscribe
and
to the
share.
Mixed Reality. Share it with somebody that you think they might benefit from hearing this. We're also looking for people to interview, entrepreneurs. Look, the whole concept of this podcast is we have the conversations professionals refuse to have on the air, in person. We're going to have the conversations that are supposed to be had. I don't care what it is, because to me, business and personal do mix.
And
it's your personality is running the business.
Yes, for sure. And people can see that. And if you're not happy with that person, you don't want to work with their company. But this is our first episode, so we'll dive in deeper as episodes occur. But I'm going to interview you next episode, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
It's going to be some hard questions.
Oh, yeah. I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
I'm always ready. It's hard. It's going to be hard to catch me slipping. But, okay, so, again, if for any information that you guys are needing, if you're looking for real estate, whether you're looking to invest, purchase your first home, specifically sell now, like, we are a listing-based business, but we're also a people's business. We focus on helping people accomplish their investment goals, real estate goals. If you're looking for help throughout the Manatee County, Sarasota County area, Hillsborough County, Pinellas County, we're your go-to real estate professional. If you go through our social medias, you will see why we are experts in our fields. We are looking forward to hearing from you guys. Well, I guess, no. They're looking forward, I guess, to hearing from us. But we're looking forward to the next episode that drops on Mixed Reality Podcast. Until then, adios.
Stay tuned.